Dead by Daylight has been called the Fortnite of asymmetrical games, and it's no surprise why. DBD's killers are all intimidating in their own ways, from the original villains to the ones taken from existing franchises. It's always a treat to see what new original killer behavior will release, but let's face it, it's a bit more exciting to see which licensed killer they'll unleash into the poor survivors. There are a lot of killers I'm sure people want to see in Dead by Daylight since there are infinite possibilities. Even so, there's a certain developer that makes terrifying low-poly games I think has killers that would be perfect for DBD. That being Puppet Combo. Hey, it's Nana Plays Games, aka MPG. Just to preface, I'm a huge Puppet Combo fan. I even have all their books. I also love DBD, used to play it more, but I'm slowly getting back into it. This is a pretty good time to be playing it, so I figured this would be a good time to post a short video about it. Back on topic though. Puppet Combo and Dead by Daylight would go together like cake and ice cream. I had other ideas of what could be interesting horror games for DBD to collab with, like Outlast or even The Coma. Even so, I can't imagine that many more collaborations will have as much potential as Puppet Combo. It is my job to argue why. So, let's get started. Let's start off with an overview. Dead by Daylight is an online asymmetrical horror game released in 2016 about 4 survivors attempting to escape trials while being preyed on by a singular killer. Survivors are tasked with repairing generators to power the exit gates and helping each other out, and killers must hook them and sacrifice them to the entity before they do. Whether being chased or giving chase, the roles and their distinctions are very clear. That's the simplest overview of the game anyway. It's actually a lot more complicated than that. The game enables the use of perks, things that give both the survivors and the killers special abilities that can assist them in completing their objectives. It makes the game a lot more cat and mouse than it seems, despite how ridiculous it may look at times. Puppet Combo, on the other hand, makes games of a different caliber. Puppet Combo actually started off in 2012 as Pig Farmer Games, releasing low-poly horror games based on 70s and 80s slasher movies. They then became Puppet Combo in 2016 and began developing under that name with a few games already under their belt. They ended up creating a lot of bangers between 2012 and now. You may have heard of them once or twice. Some of their games such as Murder House, The Night Ripper, and Nun Massacre are only a few of the great games they have that have gotten the attention of gaming YouTubers. They're kinda well known on the internet for their terrifying games that are enough to make a grown man cry. Example A.
What the freak?
And B.
Alright, if you want to play like that, we play like that. Oh my god! Oh my god! Why are you doing this to me? I just spawned, bro! I just spawned! Run!
And C.
Just juke. Get ready to juke. Is she still on my ass? Oh, bitch. Oh!
That actually moves me on to my first point. Dead by Daylight has had some collabs with all kinds of media, most already existing horror IPs. It's why it's survived as an asymmetrical game thus far, while others such as Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre have not. Even so, what the game needs is more life. I hope that actually makes sense and I'm not sounding like a complete idiot right now. Springtrap brings it, but not in the way I'm imagining. It needs more tension and actual horror back, and like I said, Puppet Combo's games are enough to make you crap yourself way past the acceptable age to do so. Puppet Combo has a wide range of both killers and survivors that could be featured in Dead by Daylight and fit in very well. For example, the Driller Killer and the Butcher are two of the scariest killers in Puppet Combo's work. They're also very, slasher-like, what with the masks and identifiable outfits they wear. Despite the Driller Killer and Butcher being strong contenders, my money would be on the Nun. I just think she's more iconic, and I like her design. She also has better name potential, since she could be called the Nun or the Sister. I think killers that stand out a bit, like the Easter Ripper, would also be great, but we already have a killer that's in a bunny suit and likes to murk children in the game, so that's too little too late. Everything about the killers, even the ones I haven't mentioned yet, are genuinely terrifying. There's also surprisingly a lot of range regarding motives for the killer that I think would make the world of DBD a little more twisted. Some killers are batshit crazy, others are Andrew Tate fans, some like kids a little too much, but then you have some that have a sad backstory. Speaking of backstory, the lore revolving around some of these killers can get played around with too. I can imagine the devil-worshipping killers growing attached to the entity, maybe even like the Night or Plague. Maybe even the killer I referenced before, like the Womb Ripper from Bloodwash, can be played around with regarding their motives and story. Either way, I guess you could ask, what makes a good killer? And I'd say it honestly depends. I think a killer should have an easily identifiable design and serious presence. It's not easy to make a killer that actually gets the job done and ends up being memorable. Even so, like I said at the beginning, I want this game to be a little bit scarier. I still get spooked by Michael and Bubba, but it's because of their playstyles. Michael stalking survivors who can't do anything to stop him is scary, and Bubba being able to easily insta-down is bone-chilling. This is me going off script, but it might also have to do with the fact that a lot of bubbas like the face cam, so yeah. Even so, if you have eyes on these killers and know how to deal with them, it's not all that scary. So I feel as though DBD should introduce a killer that strikes fear into the player's heart just by giving chase, not because of any mechanics or special conditions. I'm a survivor main. I'd shit myself at the sight of the nun or driller killer. Trust me, a generator would not be getting touched. It's every man for himself. No killer has really made me feel that way, maybe with the exception of being stuck in less than ideal situations. I also just think it'd be easy to implement the killers of Puppet Combo into DBD. Most, if not all of the killers are human, sometimes have their own lore, and some already have crazy stuff going on. They are also already very powerful, and would be menacing adversaries in the entity's realm. The entity is an enigma as far as we're concerned, but I can't help but think she'd want a new terror in the realm. As for implementation, some killers already have their own chase music, locations, and concepts for Moris. Just listen to the chase music from the Night Ripper and stay out of the house. Definitely sounds like something that could be put in DBD after a little bit of tweaking, right? Alongside that, I believe that Puppet Combo killers also have concepts for playstyles and abilities. For example, a lot of them could be exclusively M1 killers but possibly have things to help them out during a trial, maybe such as the Butcher's Gas and the vent from Stay Out of the House. Or something like the adrenaline and panic meter popping up while getting chased in the Night Ripper. I think a lot of Puppet Combo games have special features that can be easily utilized with enough thought and consideration. Oh, and another point I wanted to mention from the beginning. The Puppet Combo killers are sometimes styled after 70s and 80s slasher icons, and I think it fits with DBD's killers like Michael and Bubba very well. Actually, years ago, I wrote an unpublished blog post about this that reads, "In the mid to late 70s, we were introduced to a new spectacle. Intimidating, powerful killers wearing masks. This wasn't just an odd fashion choice, but a clever way to differentiate a human from others. Masks concealed their identity, but it also hid their faces, expressions, and eyes, aka the gateway into one's soul. Without these things, it'd be easy to take an otherwise unintimidating person as a threat. No horror movie icon operated, looked, or even killed the same way." Anyway, getting off the topic of my past failed projects, DBD developers are very inspired by horror movies, specifically older horror movies. I think this would enable Puppet Combo's killers to sit comfortably alongside some of the other licensed killers DBD has. The potential for new survivors would also be massive. Most Puppet Combo protagonists are female, I think in order to meet that final girl requirement, or just because life is scary for women, I don't know, could be both. Protagonists like Emma and Sarah seem to have much more of a personality than the other ones present in Puppet Combo games. Even other protagonists like Mrs. McDonald I think would fit very well in the realm due to her, let's just say, moral grayness. Not all survivors need to be perfect victims after all. Again, I feel as though they can play around with how these characters navigate the entity's realm, how they react, what perks they bring to the game, etc. Despite how little some protagonists may speak, they're all very unique from one another and each have something new to offer DBD. Unimportantly, there's also the skin potential. I love 80s fashion and can see some cool outfits or accessories that could get put into the game. Last but not least, a collab like this would be pretty unique. Not only will we get to see how DBD implements low poly characters into the game, but we get to have lesser known licensed characters in the game. It'd be cool to have another licensed killer that isn't from something insanely popular, but well known enough to be interesting. Puppet Combo is decently known among the online sphere, but could always use more attention. I can imagine that the uncanniness of the Puppet Combo games could always add something to DBD. I just really hope we can get collabs like this in the future. It'd definitely be worth it going forward. Either way, that's just what I believe. Take my suggestions with a grain of salt. I'm not a game developer, nor do I know the ins and outs of licensing. Anyway, as long as other horror games or movies keep releasing, DBD has almost infinite potential for licensed characters to add into their game. I think they should take a little more advantage, but they seem to be going in a great direction. So, what do you think of this video? Make sure to put your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe too. This is MPG, I'll catch you later. Peace!